like change. All right. So come in for business. Now, most everybody in my last class thought this was pretty easy, so I'm sure you guys also felt pretty much the same way. Just kind of a review of little things, a couple topics. There were a couple that I thought were kind of hard. And the one I want to take a look at right now is question number 22. All right, so I want everybody to take a look at question number 22.
I think we did that in class.
Did we do it in class already? Okay. All right, so thank you. So it's,
Yeah, you did.
Yes, you did.
yeah, it came out just
X equals 19.
right.
Yeah, you told us.
So we got x is equal to 19. And then the last little thing I wanted to talk about was that they ask you specifically for the angles, angle G and angle H. All right. And angle G worked out to be 63 and H was 27 because we just substituted in 19 in for X. And then we substitute 19 in for X and angle H as well. And it came out to be angle G is 63 degrees and angle H is 27 degrees. All right, so now on these last two worksheets, is there anything that you would like me to discuss? Yes, William.
Maybe number 5 on the yeah.
All right, let's take a look at number 5. All right. It says, in the following map, it says, First Avenue, Second Avenue, Third Avenue are all parallel, which is generally the way it works. All right, when you're going down streets, obviously, not all of them are parallel, but for the most part, streets run parallel to each other. Now, if that's the case, here's what I want to try to do. All right, I want to try to show you that the reason why it's difficult, I think, is just because of the way that they have the streets labeled. It's kind of hard to see. And what I mean by that is I'm going to try to draw this out. So when you see this line right here, and you see this transversal is what it's called right here, and this right here. So if you were to draw this, and the reason why I'm doing this on my iPad is because I'm going to show you how you can see it a little better if you take and move it out of the way now. All right, move it so you can see it. So in this case right here, this is X, what they're looking for, and this is Y, and this angle down here is 25 degrees. So what's true about X and Y? Somebody tell me what's true about X and Y.
They are
The angle.
the angle.
So what's true about this angle right here is what I'm trying to ask you about. What's true about this angle and what's true about this angle right here? Go ahead. Yes, they are supplementary. All right, basically what that means is they add up to 180 degrees. All right, now this right here is 25 degrees. So what do you think this angle is right here? That's exactly correct. That's 25 degrees. All right. Yeah, so you subtract from 180. All right, so you should be able to see now that X is equal to 25 degrees and Y would be 155 degrees. All right. Yes, sir.
I have a question on number 3.
Okay, so number 3, I believe, is pretty much the same kind of thing. All right, it's just very difficult to see because of the figure. All right, so I really don't like the figure at all. All right. So what I did was I recreated the figure in red to the right. All right, kind of what I just did there. All right. This angle right here that they're talking about from here to here is twice as much as it is from here to here. Yeah, it's not easy to see. So again, if you had a little trouble with that, I'm totally okay. All right. Now let's look at it. If I pulled it off to the side and made this demonstration right here, most people now could see that this measure right there is also x. And now these angles next to each other add up again to 180. Ben, does that make sense now? All right. So now we want to start the equation by saying those two angles together add up to what? Add up to 180. All right. So x plus 2x is 3x. 180 divided by 3 is 60. So the x was 60, and 2 times x is 120. All right. So those were the two angles that they were kind of looking for, or they were looking for x. Yes.
So the two angles were 60 and 30?
You mean 60 and 120?
Oh, sorry.
That's okay. That's 60 times 2, right? Yes, ma'am. You're solving an equation, 3x equals 180. How do you solve that equation? Because I added right here 1x plus 2x. Right? Because we said the angles were supplementary, which means you added them up. You with me on this?
Yeah.
All right? Yes.
So you got the 60 by, you subtracted the, since that was supplementary, you subtracted
No, since they were supplementary, I took the two angles and added them together.
Oh.
All right, and when you add what, so basically my question is, what is x plus 2x? What is that? That's correct. So 3x has to equal 180. And now you're just back to solving a one-step equation, which we've done lots of times. You should be able to see x equals 60. All right? And if x is equal to 60, then you can plug it in, because 2x then would be 120. All right? Number 2, that was easy, right? That's just a vertical angle. 38 degrees. Now, the front and back property lines of Michael's land are parallel. If the angle between the west side property and the back property is 160 degrees, what is the angle between the front property and the west? All right, so let's try to draw this out. So if I'm drawing it out, we can kind of label that the what? The front, and then this guy back here would be the what? The back. Is everybody okay with that? Right? And now it says if the angle between the west side property line and the back property line is 106 degrees. So this would be the west. Do you agree with that? West, right? So it says this angle right here would have to be 106 degrees. Do we agree with that? So now it says, what is the angle between the front property line? So the question is, what is this? Somebody want to give it a shot? You said correctly. Very good. Very nice work. If you put 74, pat yourself on the back. Honestly, that's a good job. I think the hardest thing for kids to do is to learn to draw things out so you can visualize it better. All right? That's what I think you should have done. All right? Draw it out. All right? That's how you get better at reasoning through these types of questions. You're not supposed to just look at it and say, that's the obvious answer. All right? That's the problem with the ERBs. All right? Requires a little bit more thought. All right? William,
Oh,
you got it now?
yes.
Yes.
Just before
Can I do 4 really quickly? All right, let's see what 4 says. It says Dave and Susie are walking on parallel trails in the woods. Dave's trail turns to the right at 43 degrees and meets up with Susie's trail. At what angle does Dave's trail meet Susie's trail? So I think what they're asking for is, if I'm not mistaken, what is this angle right here? Is that what you think they're asking?
Yes. Wait, is it like, oh, yeah.
You agree with that? So what I'm looking at right here is if I were to draw this out, right, just so I could look at it. Now, keep in mind, I think what they're trying to tell me is that Dave's and Susie's trails are parallel. So what I'm going to do is, just to visualize this better, I'm going to draw this. And then I'm going to draw this right like this. And then here is this transversal that goes all the way through like this. All right, so now what I'm going to do is I'm going to move that off to the side to see if I can see anything better. So I move this over here. And it says this right here is 43 degrees. Now, guys, seriously, you're going to have to help me on this one. I don't see it right off the bat. Somebody want to tell me what they're thinking? What do you think? Why do you think that?
Oh, because at first I had done 180 minus 43, and it was 137.
Way too big, right?
Yeah, so I know that 180 or 90.
Okay, so I'm actually kind of happy with you. That's good. If I don't know what to do, I think that's a reasonable thing. All right, let me hear someone else's thoughts.
Well, that's a triangle that you drew out,
Exactly.
and all the angles measure up to like 180.
That's actually what we're going to do today.
And so the one with the right angle, it looks like it's a right. It's like a 90-degree angle. So if you added 43 and 90, it equals 133.
All right, I think hold up, stop there. That's kind of exactly correct. All right, that's the only thing I can do. That's the only thing I would know how to do. I would say this, guys, though. We're going to discuss today the interior angles of a triangle add up to 180. But what do you think this angle is right here? That's the what? 90. Does everybody agree with that?
Yeah.
Right. So then 90 plus 43 was 133. And then 180 minus 133 was 47. And guess what? Same answer regardless of how you do it. You with me? That was nice. I think that's important to be able to look at this and say, I'm not 100% sure, but what I can tell you is this right here that I'm drawing from here to here looks like it's 90 degrees. All right, that's what I'm hoping you could say. All right, now again, I tell kids all the time, the only way you get better at math is you got to try the problems, even the hard ones. And even if you don't know, you just do what I just draw something in there. Try to see something. All right, that's all you're trying to do. It doesn't even have to be right. And sometimes we can't even say, wow, that has to be 90 degrees. I'm not even sure that it has to be 90 degrees. Right? But that's the best I can do right now. All right? So I'm assuming that that is going to be what? 90 degrees. All right, what?
So I get everything except for how you knew that was a supplementary angle. Or supplementary.
Well, because in our parallel lines that we talked about,
Oh, it's a
yes, lines right next to each other are supplementary. These are adjacent. Those would add up to 180. Okay? All right. Now, anything else, guys, before we move on? All right, lots of little information. Like I said, this is a really good review for the ERBs that are coming up, 6 or 7 weeks. I'm not sure. All right, soon enough. All right. So now what I want to do is just jump over to now 11.2 real quick. All right. Now, we just talked about it. All right. I'm hoping you can remember this from last year. And I just said it a few minutes ago. So we're talking about the angles of a triangle. The interior angles of a triangle always do what? Add up to 180. All right. So I feel pretty good about this. So let's everybody take a look at number 1. We're missing x. All right. So I need everybody to figure out. I don't care if you use your calculators today. All right. Quickly, if you don't have a calculator, you want to participate quickly. Grab yourself a calculator. Let's go. All right. Some of the problem for some of you guys is it's no good to just write down what I'm doing. You got to participate. You got to see the number on your calculator. All right. So number 1, I want to hear it. X is equal to what, guys?
49.
How did we get 49?
You added 58 and 73, which equals 131, and then you do 180 minus 1.
Exactly correct. You're adding the two angles together, and then you're subtracting it from 180 because the angles add up to 180. And you tell me again that was what?
Oh, it was 49.
It was 49. I want you to put the 49 degrees. All right. Now we have to classify it by its angles. All of the angles are less than 90. So it is acute. That is correct. Then you have to classify it by its sides. Are any of the sides the same?
No.
No. So we consider that, does anybody remember? Scalene. Very good. Very good memory. Scalene. All right. Now again, it's not hard. And the reason why I say it's not hard is because there's not much math. All right. So here we go. Let's take a look quickly at question number 2. Obviously, x has to be 45 degrees. So everybody puts down x equals 45 degrees. Now, what type of triangles if we classify it by angle?
Wait, isn't the 90 degree angle that straight angle?
Right.
It's a what?
Right.
Yes. So we say this is a right triangle.
Isosceles. Yeah.
And then two sides are equal, so it's isosceles. And of course, everybody knows how to spell
Oh, yes.
isosceles.
Oh, I spelled it right.
All right. So it's an isosceles triangle. It's considered a right isosceles. All right. Now let's find out about number 3. All right.
Yeah, 37.
Come on, guys.
37, yeah.
All right. Everybody okay with x equal 37 degrees? All right, come on. Come on, I want everybody else to participate. All right. Anybody have any questions with x being 37 degrees? Hunter, you good in the back there? You good? Boys over here? Alex, you with me? All right. And if that's 37 degrees, are any of the sides equal? No. So we say scaling, but this is
Yeah, it's obtuse. Because
obtuse.
there's
Now, remember, in an obtuse triangle, you only need one angle that's greater than 90. So we'd say this is obtuse and scalene. Obtuse and scalene.
Two or more angles in a triangle that were bigger than 90, you would need an extra line.
Well, actually, that's a good way to say, it can't be more than one greater than 90, because if you had two that are more than 90, you're going to get the angles add up to greater than 180.
Yeah.
All right, and the angles can only add up to 180. All right, very good. All right, number 4. Obviously, x is what here?
60.
Obviously, x is 60.
And it's
All right. Now I want you to take a look first at the angles. All the angles are less than 90, so they are
Acute.
acute. And in this case,
Equilateral.
yes, equilateral. All right, all sides are the same, so it's considered equilateral. So I want everybody to write down the fact that this is acute and equilateral. All right, acute and equilateral. All right, no big deal. All right, let's check out number 5 now. All right, someone new now. Tell me, William.
So you add up 85 and 40. And
Right.
I think that's 125.
Perfect.
You do 180 minus 125.
And so,
Which is 55.
perfect. So x is 55 degrees. All right. So from there, now we can say that we have a what type of triangle? Ben, tell me.
Acute.
It's definitely acute. And what else? Scalene. Thank you very much. Acute scalene. All right. So now let's take a look at question number 6. All right. All right, Caroline. Tell me what x is.
X equals 57 degrees.
X equals 57 degrees. And again, it is what?
Acute and scalene.
Acute.
This is so easy.
And I know that's why you should take a sheet of paper out and join us.
Okay, I don't.
So you just go all day today with nothing. Nothing. I just don't even understand it, to be honest. All right. 57 degrees, acute, and scalene. All right, now let's take a look at question number 7. A little bit harder now. Question 7 is a little bit harder. Hunter, what are we doing on this?
Do you want to find that angle first? Or?
Yep, I want you to find the missing angle first.
Okay, so you first you take 180, and then
Right?
subtract. Well, the way that I do it is that I first subtract 82, and then I subtract 1.
Perfect. So tell me what that is. Beautiful. Okay, so now tell me about the triangle. What type of triangle do we have?
Yeah, but 74 is not.
Yeah, 74 is
Shh, I'm not asking you. All I'm asking about the triangle, not about x, right? Tell me about the triangle.
Scalene.
It's definitely scalene, and what else?
Acute.
Yep, scalene and acute. The reason why I did this first is because x is not part of the triangle. X is not part of the triangle. It's called an exterior angle. All right, so what is x now? Can you tell me?
So maybe 180 minus 74.
Very good, buddy. Very nice. That is exactly correct. 160 degrees. Do you understand why that's 106? All right, we had to use the rules from yesterday. Those are supplementary. All right, those are supplementary. All right, Catherine, number 8.
Okay. So you have to first of all find the angle that is under 155.
Yep, which is
So you would have to do it's 25, but you do 180 minus 155.
beautiful. This is 25 degrees.
And then you do 180 minus 90 plus 25,
Which is
125. Or no, sorry, 115. And then x. So you subtract 5 from.
wait a minute.
that.
Just tell me. Do me a favor. Just tell me what this angle measure is right here first.
60. Well, wait. Hold
I
on.
didn't say what
Wouldn't
x
it be-
was.
Wouldn't it be 60 because you're adding 5?
I didn't say solve x. I just ask you what this angle has to be. What's the measure of this angle?
65.
Yes.
So x would be 60.
Yeah. So again, kind of a question I'm not real happy with. right? But what I'm saying is I don't need x plus 5 to figure out what that angle is, right?
No, but it's
Right.
just asking you what X
90 plus 25 is 115. 115 from 180 would be 65. So the angle itself is 65 degrees. The angle itself is 65 degrees. Now, it's saying that x plus 5 is equal to 65, so the x value would be what? 60. The angle measure is not 60. X is 60.
Oh, I see.
All right? Now be careful with that. It's kind of tricky. All right? Now, from there, all right? From there, we're going to define the triangle as what?
You're gonna define it as a right triangle and then scaling.
Yes. Right scaling. All right? Definitely a right scaling. Ben. Okay, Ben. So let's see if I can do a good job explaining this. Ready? Do you agree? Let me see. This right here is just technically x plus 5. You agree with that? So, do you agree that we know that this angle measure must be 65 degrees? Do you agree with that? Right? So, a lot of kids made a mistake and said the answer was 70. Right? But why is it 60? Because this right here is defined, Ben, as x plus 5. Do you understand that? That's algebraically what we say. That's what that angle is. Numerically, what's that angle measure? And what's true? Those two things are what? Equal. You with me on this? So now, if I let x be 60, that angle measure is what? 65 degrees. You with me on this? All right. All right, here we go. Let's take a look at question number 9. All right, what type of triangle is that?
Right.
It's a right, and what else?
I saw.
Now, isosceles would make the minute and the hour hand the same length. If you made the minute hand and the hour hand the same length, you wouldn't be able to tell time. Do I agree with that? Right? So that's how we know it's a right scalene. All right? You could change the color of the hands. That would do it. All right? All right, so now let's look at question number 10. I need to, well, right off the bat, I know it is what?
Isosceles.
I know it's isosceles because they tell me two sides are equal.
And they're all acute.
How do I know it's acute, though?
Because they're all the same.
How do I know they're all less than 90?
Because you add up
You
47
add up
and
47,
47.
subtract 90.
Right, so what's the missing angle?
86.
The missing angle was 86 degrees. All right? The missing angle was 86 degrees.
Wait,
What?
we have to give the missing angle?
Well, the reason why I had to give the missing angle is because I didn't know how to classify it if I didn't know what the angle was. Do you agree with that?
Yes.
Right. So we're going to say that it is isosceles and scalene. Everybody good? All right.
Scalene. Wait, no. Isosceles is
Isosceles
acute.
is
That's what I said, isosceles and acute.
Scalene.
No, I did
What
not.
was that?
Take
Would you
down
like
the
to repeat
right.
what you just said?
Catherine, go get it.
All right, here we go. Now we've got an airplane here. We're missing this angle right here. So what's that angle?
It's 120.
Anybody else get 120?
Yeah.
Thank you. 120.
Yeah, I got 120.
All right, so now let's classify it. It is considered
Scalene and
scalene and obtuse. Everybody okay with that?
Yes.
Scalene and obtuse. All right, again, guys, the unit geometry refresher is not difficult at all. All right. So now I want to flip down to question number 7. All right, because question number 7 was hard. But I'm going to read it, and I want somebody to try to tell me if they know how to figure it out.
Oh, I can.
Tell me.
Okay, so there, what's the measure of each angle? So if they're in the ratio, actually, I don't know if we're gonna figure this out. I thought I had it.
That's okay. That's all right. Listen, here's the explanation. Tell them.
Okay, so I had a little trouble trying to figure out what to do as well, but I finally figured it out.
So tell me how.
So I'll take 180, and then so you add up the numbers, so 5 plus 6 plus 9 is 20. So you would take 180 divided by 20.
Oh, I think I know. Oh, I know what to do. Oh, I think I know what to do.
It's actually correct. Hey.
No.
Yeah, which equals 9.
Yeah. So listen to me. He's exactly correct. But what I want to do, though, is I want to show you what he's thinking is they're 180 degrees, right? And they're broken down into parts. 5 of the parts go with one. 6 of the parts go with the other. Listen to what I'm saying now. And 9 of the parts go with the other. So how many parts are there? 20 parts. Now, let's say that doesn't really quite make sense. So what I want to do is I just drew a triangle so I could kind of show you what that means. All right? If something's in a ratio of 5 to 6 to 9, that means they broke it down into 3 separate what? Parts. All right? So one part is 5, one part is 6, and one part is 9. The problem is we can't just say 5. We have to say 5x. All right? We don't know how big the part is. So we label it as, listen to me now, 5x, 6x, and 9x. All right? So now if we add those up, we ended up with what? 20x, not just 20. So he was absolutely correct. 20x is equal to 180. All right, so then he broke it down and said, well, x had to equal 9. All right, and then
9 times 5.
there
is
you go.
45.
So one angle is 9 times 5, which is 45 degrees.
And then 9 times 6.
And one angle would be 54 degrees.
And then 9 times 9, which is
And then the last angle would be 81 degrees. Come on now. Again, that again is a very difficult problem, but it's easy, all right, if you're thinking about parts. All right, if you're thinking about parts. So anytime someone tells you that they're breaking something down into a ratio of 5 to 6 to 9, I always try to tell kids, try to remember if it's in that proportion, they really mean 5x to what? 6x to what? To 9x. Now, technically, why do they get rid of the x's? Because they just reduce the fraction. 5x over 6x, what happens to the x's? They canceled out. All right? Everybody with me on that?
So after you did that, you multiplied them?
No, those were the angles. What do you tell me about the angles? What do we do to angles?
You add them all.
That's
up and
correct.
subtract 180.
No, not in this case. We added them up and set them equal to 180 because there were 3 missing angles, not 1. All right? So you added the angles up, all right, and set them equal to 180. Yes. No, actually, your 8 is part of the homework, all right, because 8 is the same as what? 7, so everybody should be fine, all right? Now, listen, the only thing I want you to cross out, you don't have to do 4 or 6 on the ERB questions. So cross out 4 and 6 from the ERB sections, all right? And that's it for today, guys. Stay quiet, just what you're doing. Try to finish up. The more you finish up in class, the less homework you have. All right, get it done.
That's 9